So, can a single social media post, we're talking just a few words tapped out in a couple of seconds, can that actually have real world consequences? I don't just mean causing a little stir online. I mean, can it create a financial shockwave big enough to totally shake up a major corporation? Well, you're about to find out, because that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
Let's just start with this number, $1.3 billion. In the financial world, that is a mind-blowing amount of money. The kind of cash that builds empires or, as we're about to see, can just poof, vanish into thin air. And here's the craziest part. This massive sum wasn't lost over a bad year or a rough quarter. Nope, it was wiped from a company's market value almost instantly. Just gone. So, what on earth could cause a drop that sudden and that catastrophic? You'd think it'd have to be a massive data breach, right? Or a terrible earnings report, maybe a huge corporate scandal. The answer, believe it or not, is way simpler and, honestly, much more unbelievable. Yup, you're looking at it. This is what did it. A single, super casual tweet from the mega influencer Kylie Jenner. It's not some complex financial analysis. It's just a simple thought, an expression of frustration. And that was all it took to send Wall Street into a total panic. But to really get why these few words hit like a ton of bricks, we have to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. See, Kylie's tweet didn't just happen in a vacuum. At the time, Snapchat was already dealing with a pretty serious, self-inflicted problem. The company had just rolled out this massive, and I mean super controversial redesign. They completely changed how the app worked, splitting up content from your friends and from brands. They were trying to be innovative, I guess, but they ended up just making the people who loved the platform the most really, really mad. And oh boy, the backlash was immediate. We're talking millions of regular users complaining. The new layout was confusing, it felt clunky, and probably worst of all, it felt like the company was just completely ignoring the tidal wave of negative feedback. The user base was already pretty ticked off. So you have all this frustration just bubbling under the surface, and then one of the platform's biggest, most influential stars decides to chime in. The timing? Wow. It could not have been worse for Snapchat, because you better believe the financial world was paying attention. The speed of this whole crisis was just breathtaking. So first, the redesign lights the fuse. Then, on February 21st, Kylie's tweet acts like a giant megaphone, amplifying all that user anger to her millions of followers. By the very next day the market opened, the stock price just cratered. It was a brutal, direct chain reaction. Now, she did try to do a little damage control, tweeting later that she still loved the app. But it was like trying to patch up a sinking ship with a Band-Aid. By then, it was way too late. The damage was done, the story was out, and billions of dollars were already gone. So that brings us to the big question, right? Why? Why did one tweet from one person have such an enormous and immediate impact on a billion-dollar company? And this right here, this is the key to understanding the whole thing. Kylie's tweet didn't create the problem, the anger, it was already there. All her tweet did was confirm it for the financial markets. It was like a giant flashing neon sign that said, hey, this user anger, it's real, it's widespread, and now it's a huge business risk. For investors, the logic was simple and, frankly, pretty terrifying. If a top creator, someone like Kylie, is that frustrated, it validates every single complaint from millions of other users. And what does that signal? A potential drop in users, a drop in engagement, which is the absolute lifeblood of any social media app. So what do? They sell, and the stock price takes. It was literally the perfect storm. You had the insane influence of a top creator, all that pre-existing public anger, the fact that tech stocks are super sensitive to cultural moments anyway, and the shocking proof that even Snapchat's most hardcore loyal fans were fed up. All of it collided at the exact same moment. This whole incident was so significant, so new, that it actually carved out its own legacy in business and marketing. It was given a name that perfectly captures this whole new reality we live in. It became known as the Kylie Jenner effect. It's now a textbook case study, seriously, on the real, tangible, economic power of digital influence. It's the ultimate proof that what happens on our social media feeds doesn't just stay there. It can have very real and very, very expensive consequences out in the real world. When you really step back and think about it, the story is just wild. It all started with a single tweet.
Just a few characters typed out in a moment of frustration.
And it triggered a $1.3 billion market reaction. It completely changed the conversation about influence forever. So it leaves us with a really important question to think about. In a world where information moves at the speed of light, is power shifting? Is it moving away from the old school institutions and into the hands of individuals with millions of followers? In today's world, who really holds the power?